Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
We All Be is under help on the one and only, the incomparable, truly beyond category, the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. He's about to tell us what's going down in your world and beyond. How you doing today, sir?
All right, young man. How's everybody?
Oh, good, man. It's been crazy, busy, a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I just had to get you on the line because it's been a minute since we talked, but so much have went down and transpired and conspired since that time. And I just want to get your opinion first and foremost, point blank. Which one tastes better, Chick-fil-A or Popeye's chicken sandwich?
I don't like either one of them.
Yeah, cause it's crazy out here, man. But okay, more seriously, the Popeye's actually pretty surprisingly good. I'm actually
I can't go into Popeyes because they do shrimp and stuff up in there, and I'm badly allergic to all that stuff. So if I eat Popeye's fried chicken, they've been fried it in the same oil, and it gets me ill. So, you know, I can't make a fair assessment.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I know people that like Chick-fil-A.
Oh yeah, Chick-fil-A is pretty good.
It doesn't do anything for me. Quite frankly, I prefer the Colonel.
Okay, yeah, I have KFC a long time. I like, but the chicken sandwich they got Popeyes, I tried it a couple of weeks ago. The rest of the nation just now getting the chicken sandwich. It was incredible, man. I was surprised that it tastes so good, because what came across my mind was, damn, this is probably better than Chick-fil-A's. This might be sacrilegious or blasphemous for some people to hear, but it's actually a pretty good sandwich for what it is. The spicy chicken sandwich.
Well, Chick-fil-A apparently prays over everything they do, so, I don't know about, it might be in danger with the and heresy.
Yes, sir.
Be careful. Thunder will come down from on high.
And they close on Sundays. But I'll tell you one thing about Chick-fil-A that I like, that no matter which Chick-fil-A you go to in the country, whether it be in L.A. or in Memphis or in New York, they always get pretty good customer service. They got a good customer service culture there.
Well, that's good. But, it's interesting about the customer service in restaurants. It's been dropping badly.
Mm-hmm.
And for a very interesting reason. I did a survey, and I went to a restaurant on a 1 mile, maybe mile and a half stretch of road that has a lot of fast food and sit-down restaurants. And every one of them is understaffed. They don't have enough employees. So there are job openings. But what is interesting is how the job openings came about. The people that had previously held these positions are moving back up to a level they used to have as a job. And that's because the job market is beginning to turn around. We have had 16 years worth of nonsense talking about the stock market, the indicia, and they don't do a damn thing for ordinary people. On Wall Street, that's just a gambling casino. It has very little to do with actual finance, very little to do about the state of the economy. It's just a certain few who have the wherewithal, resources, and connections to gamble in that casino can make a killing. But the rest of us aren't getting any fallout, or as Reaganomics put it, voodoo economics, voodoo-nomics, trickle down. That was Reagan's thing. That was Obama's thing, trickle down economics, because one was a stooge and the other one was a rich boy. So we are finally beginning to get something economically that is that is benefiting ordinary people.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last 40 years, the actual buying power of the overwhelming majority of America has been dropping badly. But for a very select few, it has been astronomically increasing. So that's a good sign, I suppose. But restaurant service seems to be missing this element that I used to see on television in the motion pictures and posted on the walls of businesses. The customer is always right. Now somebody actually told me, where'd you get that? People would go out of business if the customer was always right. Well, And then somebody I know shows there's a new kind of customer. This person likes to go into women's boutiques and nominally buy women's clothing. She wears the outfits and then turns them back in after she's worn them once or twice for a refund.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets the idea that the boutiques she likes to patronize are like the public library. You just go in, identify yourself, and you can check the clothes out, but that's not what they are about. They aren't even getting a rental out of that.
Mm-hmm.
She's upset that they banned her from being able to come in and patronize their establishments because they haven't made anything off of it. They just lost a hell of a lot of money because nobody wants a Bigfoot woman sweating in the clothes, that are going to be done what? Donated to Goodwill? They certainly can't be put back up on the rack.
Wow. And she's doing that to a boutique, not at one of these big, like, retailers. Just a boutique, a small business.
Boutiques and retailers. I'm calling them boutiques if, they aren't department store size, but, it's just anything. People have no good sense. Common sense is no longer common.
Yes, sir.
Good sense is beginning to lack, too. You can have no common sense, but you can have the good sense to scheme within the parameters of what your situation is. These people just do it overboard. It's like whatever I want, and they have lost this thing about having standards. That seems to have evaporated. The British used to say, I sail, boy. It just isn't done, It's simply not cricket. But we seem to have forgotten that.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's a good point. That's a great observation. Also, I was thinking about, you go to some of these restaurants, like fast food restaurants, I'm afraid to give the cashier money because they might not know how to count. And the manager don't know how to count either.
Somewhere the machine counts for them.
Yeah.
Out loud, no less.
Yeah. So I guess it's a state of education too, but there's a lot to, you think like the dumbing down society, like even though this is probably like the age of information and technology, that people are becoming dumber every day. Are we dumbing down?
Well, what you have available is truly a magnificent engine in terms of acquiring information and data.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge, maybe. Foolishness, a lot of it. But you see, because the people are dumb it down, they don't use the tool. That's like having a fine sword that you can do all kinds of things with, and all you can do with it is trim your nails.
Mm.
See, instead of knowledge and information, it just becomes a conduit for gossip. And one very bad thing, you give people a huge audience, and they haven't been vetted.
Mm-hmm.
People will say on Twitter, give me a reference. Now, why do you need a reference when you're talking to the source? And if you get a reference, it's likely to be something on YouTube where somebody's running off at the mouth for an hour and a half and saying nothing that can't be read in 5 minutes. The power of the written word used to be strong. Now everybody wants to get back to voice. And then again, you get this thing where because it's written, it's supposed to be authentic, and there's a lot of foolishness out there because the media basically is in writing these days because people text.
Mm-hmm.
So you get these unvetted people that have huge followings. Some little airbrushed plastic China doll with a blue check on Twitter said some weeks back, I had blue Jello and it quivered and got 86 point some K likes. What the hell? What kind of ignoramus do you want to even read something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And then, ignoramus is a person that lacks knowledge and information. Ignorance is a lack of knowledge and information, but we are bordering on new times. We have a congenital situation. It's not ignorance, it's ignorance. It can't be cured by the acquisition of knowledge and information. It's just congenital. You want ignorant somebody. I'll give you an example. There's this guy, I won't mention the name, I think he's probably dead. But he and another friend of mine we ran into each other someplace out in the park for lunch, all right? Just happened to be out there. There's some political stuff going on, and one of them was on the job, the other one's on the job, and I got tired of downtown. So I bought a burger, and the other guy had two, and this one particular guy had brought a tuna fish sandwich from home, right?
Okay.
He's drinking a carton of milk. So as we are discussing things, he says, you got to be careful what you eat. Yeah. Like, you can't drink milk and eat fish. It'll kill you. It's poison. And the guy said, well, man, you're eating a tuna fish sandwich and drinking a carton of milk? He said, yeah, but see, tuna fish ain't real fish. It's like chicken that live in the water. And he was serious.
Oh, my God. Oh, man. What type of job did he do? What type of job did he have?
He worked for Memphis Land, Gas, and Water.
Oh, man. These folks is robbing us. Okay, that makes sense. Wow. Okay.
But see, there's stupidity out there. Isn't that congenital thing? Ignorance. Man, you want ignorant, etc.
Right. But Judge, it's interesting what you said about people. Like, I be listening to people sometimes on YouTube and other places, and people just be having these crazy way of saying stuff. But people like the color personality. They don't really vet the information. All you gotta do, take your smartphone and do a quick Google search about some things to verify what a person is saying correct or not correct, or just what happened to intellectual curiosity? Like, don't just
don't have it.
Okay.
We don't have it. See, back to the school thing. Right now, in a large number of elementary and junior high school districts across the country, they're wiping out homework. They say it's an exercise of futility and it's unfair to the kids. Oh, yeah, sure. You have a situation with single-parent head of households where even if the mother is the one busting her behind doing everything financially, she still got this mindset of the way to get ahead is to find somebody that can take care of you. So the child, boy or girl, does not get, you got to make it yourself. You got to get your act together. You got to do what, take care of your business. They get steal the flavor, even if mama is slaving away trying to make it happen. The flavor they get is find somebody to take care of you. The populist thing, the social thing, the cultural thing, the political thing is forget all of this stuff about what you're supposed to do. It's all about doing what you want to do. And one of the worst driving engines behind that is this Skittles thing, taste the rainbow. And nobody's into what you ought to do. It's all about what you want to do. And sometimes what we want to do is not commensurate with what we should be doing. Most of us, if we're good people, will always deal with the I ought to do this. It's kind of like the candy syndrome. You tell children don't eat all this candy, your teeth will rot. But if you miss out on eating the candy, you never get to taste it. So it's always a balance. But we don't have this thing called balance because we don't have consequences. One thing I like about these John Wick movies is everybody's in there always talking about consequences. Yeah, I know. Everything you do has consequences. But we don't get it. We just like do what I want to do, man. Why you getting on me, Judge? Like, I was emotional. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Control yourself. Huh? See, we think wrong.
Well, hello, Judge.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I also got to ask you, dude. Speaking of like right and wrong and morality and good sense and common sense, what's your take on the Jeffrey Epstein thing? Did he kill himself? Was it suicide? Was it murder? Was he faked his death, or what's going on with that?
Well, they got a thing called, in certain places, it's called being suicided.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, when it works out, he killed himself, but let's just put it this way, he had help.
Right.
As far as the forensics are going to show, it'll probably be ruled a suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say had help. That whole thing was kind of, he's supposed to be in with another inmate to watch him, and the inmate has gotten something of a trustee status. The security's supposed to check on him every half hour, but, right after he tries to kill himself, not 2 weeks later, not a week later, but almost immediately, they pull the watcher out of the cell. And the people that are supposed to work there and do the observation, they're supposedly so overworked that they can't do it at all. And he gets to kill himself. It's just as easy to, excuse me, kill somebody and make it look like a suicide. Murder is one of the easiest crimes to get away with if somebody does not run his or her mouth off. Or if the person is committing the homicide has no connection with the person killed, or is not doing it in a situation where it just becomes notorious and obvious and they count too much on other people not talking.
But most murders are unsolved, correct? I mean, from a history standpoint.
They're where?
Unsolved. Most murders are unsolved, right?
Yeah, they are. Most crimes are unsolved. 85% of the defendants in the penitentiary, more than 85%, confessed. At 97.6, 97.8% of the people that are in the penitentiaries pled guilty. So just a little more than 2% of the people in the penitentiaries got found guilty by a jury.
Wow.
Now, there's some miscarriages of justice, I will assure you. But most of the time, people talking about they got done wrong. They just got maybe done wrong this time. And or they shot their mouth off to a girlfriend, a lady friend they were trying to get laid by, and she was a junkie, and she's trying to keep from going to jail. So she tells on him. Or I had actually had cases where some damn fools killed 3 people, and they Xerox copies of the commercial appeal and signed them.
Wow.
Like, yeah, okay.
Wow.
And then there's always this thing, as a lawyer, I used to walk around, downstairs at General Sessions in the zoo when stuff was going on looking for a client and run into one of them and say, yeah, man, like we had 4 kilos, man, but me and my lawyer, we bought the case. Fool, you know what happened? There was a part of a roach in the glove, in the ashtray in the back seat of the car, and you were in the front. And we worked that. Ain't nobody bought anything. See, they lie to make themselves look good. Or mama, I didn't do nothing. They putting the case on me, and you can't tell mama that he's lying because he's already fessed up to you.
Now, the Epstein, the cellmate, allegedly was a corrupt cop who allegedly killed 4 people that was in the cell at one point. Is that correct?
I don't know, but there's a thing. Unless it was first-degree murder, murder was not considered a crime of moral turpitude. In other words, a crime of moral turpitude was one that indicated the deficiency of character, where the person wasn't truthful, or in committing the crime there was fundamental dishonesty involved. So murderers can be quite honest people.
Okay. So the thing with the Epstein thing, like, they said the Metropolitan Correctional Center was like the Guantanamo Bay of New York, and they had Bernie Madoff there at one point. They got Paul Manafort, Trump's campaign manager, there right now, and they had El Chapo there at one point. So why is it that they was able to have this lapse of security where they couldn't protect this guy?
Well, one of the members of the Royal House of England was implicated in some, shall we say, unsavory activity. And, they do have MI6. That's James Bond, that guy. And they have a marvelous way of being able to make things happen that no one else can,
I hear you, Prince Andrew. But also, they say that Jack the Ripper could have been a member of the royal family back in the day. I don't know.
Exactly.
So, they got a history. Oh, Princess Di, questionable.
Georgie.
Okay.
Was a little perverted. King George.
Wow.
The Fifth.
Oh, okay.
Was a little strange. Queen Victoria was a little strange one. She had 14 children, 11 of them died, and wound up causing a lot of international mischief. When she lost her husband, Prince Albert, due to scarlet fever, and she couldn't get any more, she went into seclusion for 4 years, probably an institution. And thereafter, she couldn't stand references to sex or body parts. For example, instead of saying chicken leg, the English weren't permitted to say chicken leg anymore. They had to say drumstick. You couldn't say thigh. You had to say dog meat. You couldn't say breast. Oh, my God, no. You had to say white meat.
Wow. I didn't know. Wow.
And it's funny. I won a $50 gift certificate, which I gave to a girlfriend one time. What is Victoria's Secret? It was simple. After she got all perverted and weirded out about sex, the French ambassador was meeting with her, and one of her ladies in waiting took a tumble down the steps in the room with the interview throne, and the French ambassador got an eyeful and smirked. Thereafter, she required that the palace tailor invent what later became known as bloomers, and all women were required to put on their pot of bloomers when they got to the palace.
Wow.
So the only woman that didn't wear them was Queen Victoria. All kinds of sick stuff goes on with that bunch. But they love them. And by the way, this black American actress that got into the family ain't the first black one in there.
Meghan Markle, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Markle. Well, her predecessor was King George III's wife. King George III was the English monarch who had some mental health issues and saw the American colonies get free from British rule. So his wife was half African. He needed some money, so he wound up marrying the daughter of an English lord who was also an adventurer, and his wife was African. So the queen was one half sub-Saharan African, from Ghana, I think it was.
Wow.
May have been Kenya.
It's like Obama. Talking about Queen Charlotte.
Yeah,
Charlotte. House of Mecklenburg. Yeah.
Barry.
Now, I would actually, it's funny because Epstein is actually connected to the guy who's over Victoria's Secret, the lingerie company, the Wexner guy. He, Epstein allegedly managed his money. That's how he became wealthy, allegedly. This Wexner guy out in Columbus, Ohio. But,
that he had acumen with cash and finances is separate and apart from his perversions. And by the way, a large number of the House Negroes, that is the Black Caucus in the House of Representatives, I call them the House Negroes, they are pushing this pedophile thing.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get age taken out of the equation when it comes to sexual consent. And somebody on Twitter was tweeting that, when he was in the rainbow crowd, the Skittles bunch, and he was reminding them that when they first started cruising, if they were early arrivals at 13 and 14, they didn't get used by some dirty old man. They just wanted experience to help get broken into the practice. So what's wrong with 12, 13-year-olds being able to consent to gay sex? See, that's nothing but pedophilia, and it's sick. It's back into this thing about I want, even when you are too damn young to know what you want. Or our thing now is letting children make choices that are bad choices when they have not the knowledge base to know what choices they should make. So back to Epstein, this perversion thing is spread pretty widely. It's endemic in Hollywood, and everybody dotes on everything Hollywood. Or, people listen to celebrities, basically actors and singers and ball players, and what's that got to do with a damn thing? We got one bad problem in our society. The professor is not held in as much or more esteem than the preacher, and that's not good. See, preachers are too into wanting you to be generous to the collection plate, which ramps up their income, so they tend to singularly neglect the development of character these days, which is not good.
Hello, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, with the Epstein thing, I also want to get this as well, because, people got onto Trump about conspiracy theories and whatnot related to the Epstein, alluding to the Clintons might have had something to do with it. And Bill Clinton allegedly rode on his plane about 26 times or visited the island 26 times, but he only claimed that he was on his plane 4 times, but it's documented that it was 26 times that Bill Clinton, because he also took his plane to Africa back in 2002 with Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker when he did his tour of Africa. Bill Clinton did. Well, now, would things look differently if Hillary was president right now and this Epstein thing went down?
I don't know, maybe.
Would they be calling for her impeachment or resignation based on?
Oh, no.
Okay.
That's not a... See, impeachment is only fit for high crimes or misdemeanors in office or treason.
Okay.
Treason has to be based upon the independent evidence of at least 2 witnesses in open court, and it has to be corroborated. The only confession that is admissible when it comes to treason is that which occurs in open court.
But do you think it's strange? I don't say, people talking about they got things with conspiracy theory. I don't have a problem with conspiracy theories to show that you're thinking, doing some outside the box thinking. But don't you think it's strange a lot of people it's connected to the Clintons, they are suicidal people that know information like Vince Foster, the lawyer, or
see, look, let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reality of government at higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you aren't doing it the right way, you pay a cost for saying the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
People die all the time. A lot of people have all sorts of justifications for homicide.
Mm-hmm.
The better good is always unavailable justification, and that's been one for a long time. Even the New Testament has a lot of stuff in there about the allowances to kings, judges, and potentates and stuff like that for the overall good of society, because it's long been recognized that when there is a breakdown in public order, you have problems for everybody. So in the game of governance, there's a lot of killing. A lot of it. That's on local, state, and federal levels, and in the international arena. The CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, was supposed to have been a conduit for well-acquired and well-digested information for the president, but the U.S. was so damn inept at it that they decided that they would make things happen rather than report on them. They got into killing. The people involved were these New Englanders, the Harvard, Yale, Princeton crowd, and, you know, they'd get their ass whipped if they tried to walk in an American city, inner city, after dark, let alone a European one, so they had fantasies of being James Bond. And a whole lot of mess got done in the ineptitude that they displayed.
I know Truman, like people like don't really research history, which is unfortunate. But Harry Truman really regretted forming the CIA, from my understanding.
Oh, he did.
He thought they killed Kennedy. I mean, he alluded. Yeah, he ain't say it outright, but he alluded to
it outright.
Okay.
By the way, the president that put those tapes in was not Tricky Dick Nixon. It was Eisenhower.
Okay.
And it's been released since it's been more than 50 years, but in the White House tapes, Eisenhower said on there, these bastards in the CIA have done nothing, these son of a bitches, but left me with a legacy of ashes.
Yep. He tried to warn Kennedy too, right? He tried to warn him in that speech he did, beware of the military industry complex.
Yep.
But I mean, but they said that they always removing people. People, it's a killing machine, so you don't know how to prove. I mean, wars I started, just to kill people, eliminate people. And I mean, they killed United Nations Secretary General and stuff like that.
Look at this. This is listed as an accident. Just so you're in Memphis.
Yeah.
Remember Gridley's barbecue?
Yes, sir.
Best ribs going. Old man Gridley wound up with, 4 or 5 restaurants?
Okay.
So good. Service was first class. Well, they would stay open at the main restaurants until 2 a.m. every night, but strangely, they'd turn the cash register off 7:30, 8 o'clock. They'd take cash and checks, even out-of-town checks with no ID, but they would not take credit cards. Well, I heard a rumor that the money was funny. And what I was thinking and had been thinking all along, and it's an allegation only, the place was laundering money, all right?
Okay.
So one Wednesday night at about 3 a.m. in the morning, old man Gridley is killed in a one-car wreck with no witnesses right past Shelby Drive. Thursday, at the same time, his general manager is killed about the same place, I-55, same time in the morning, no witnesses. Friday, his chief accountant winds up dying in a one-car wreck, no witnesses, about the same place on I-55. Now, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, one hell of a coincidence.
Yep.
But it's still listed as accidental death for all of them.
Wow.
And interestingly enough, since we live here, Memphis has a reputation in certain circles as the first-degree murder capital of America, and we're not talking about street crime.
Well, look at the president of the Chamber of Commerce and then this other white philanthropist that got killed within months of each other.
Oh, well, it
makes it like it's random street crime, but everybody know who they are.
Oh, well, there's a certain person that was an assistant district attorney that moved on
Mm-hmm.
A certain 2 p.m. one day, 2 weeks after I retired, myself, several officers were supposed to go in front of a grand jury relative to a first-degree murder case he framed an innocent man on. And they had him recorded with his mother, who is a local VIP, and the actual perpetrator, the wife of the deceased. And they were discussing on this video with sound what they were doing. They were also discussing with some other people, the same assistant VA and his mama, killing these other men who got killed, and we were going to indict them for first-degree murder. However, the elected DA, Bill Gibbons, ran down and persuaded the grand jury foreman to defer everything for a couple of weeks or a week, and what had happened was George W. Bush had come down and nominated this particular person for a high office. So, yeah, it happens, and we had them on tape admitting what they had done, audio and visual, and the case resulted in one of the cases resulted in a mistrial in my courtroom.
Wow. Even though you had the evidence on video.
I had the evidence.
And it was verified to be actual. Yeah, it was intemperate with anything.
And then the thing is, Tennessee has a law that says it is a felony to destroy the records on any homicide case until the passage of 99 years. And yet, I ordered the detectives to bring in the homicide file. During the course of trial, they came in white-faced, all weirded out, found that somebody had shredded the homicide file 2 weeks before the trial. I said, go down to Central Records. They went down to Central Records run by the Sheriff's Department, and somebody had erased all but the first page of the microfilm records. Go down to the property room, and somebody had destroyed the records. Now, they had just put in a new security system that activates when somebody pulls the file, so they had this same person on video shredding the files. But he went on and got his federal office and became chief corporate counsel for a big local concern. He left in a cloud, I understand, and wound up leaving the federal position in a cloud. But, that qualifies as official involvement in homicide. So it's not anything unusual, even on the local level.
I'm glad you said that, because I want people to understand that, because you got to look at this Epstein thing. If the U.S. attorney, if the top lawman in the country, U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr, his dad hired Epstein at the Dalton School when he was a young man. When Epstein was younger, he was a teacher at the Dalton School. You connected with Bill Clinton, with all these elites, these financial people, the Hollywood people, people from all walks of life and human activity, and you're a multi-billionaire. And you got all this information on people. Why would you want to kill yourself? You got leverage.
Oh, well, yeah, but the bottom line is you might not be able to take the embarrassment or being locked up with all of these inmates walking by. Yeah, just wait till they put you in general population. We got the booty.
Well, to me, I don't understand that mentality, because, I'm thinking of, the movie. You remember the movie Law, About It, and Citizen with Jared Butler and Gerard Butler and Jamie Foxx?
I know what you're talking about, but I didn't go see it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if I'm a multi-billionaire, the last thing I'm thinking about is killing myself. I shouldn't be in jail to begin with. I should be able to kill somebody in broad daylight and get away with it, because I'm a multi-billionaire.
Well, it doesn't quite happen. It doesn't quite happen like that.
Okay.
Like I said, homicide is an easy crime to get away with if you have no connections that are obvious with the victim.
Okay, like El Chapo, though. It said El Chapo worth $12 to $14 billion. Why is he in jail if you worth that much money?
How many times did he get let out? He got out?
He escaped. It's like Pablo Escobar. He was blowing up commercial airliners. I just don't understand. It is weird. They operate a different. They don't. They're not like every normal people, man. They look at things. They do things in a different way. Those type of people at that level. The laws don't apply to them. You just told me an example locally how they were able to get away with stuff at the local
Two
level.
examples locally.
Okay.
Let's put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
On certain levels, there's a mindset that says death is appropriate under certain circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
other people's and your own. You play the game, this is one of the consequences.
Right.
So it happens. Money is one thing, attitude is another, connections are another, but sometimes the connections don't protect you on a certain level, because once this level gets made transparent, then the people that would have protected you are jeopardized, and they might as well see to it that you get a little help if you're disposed.
Right.
Like there's a lot. See, this thing with pedophilia and this Skittles thing has spread through the population of elected officials and appointed officials. If you take the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 administrations, you have an enormous number of Skittles folk on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat. The Democrats do more talking, and perhaps the Republicans do as much practice. So on the local level, the allegations and the evidence I've seen strongly suggest that a lot of Republicans and Democrats that are supposed to be at each other's throats privately swing together. Boys and girls, girls and girls, and boys and boys. And there's a certain place down here on Peabody where during campaign season you can see a lot of parties with boys dancing with boys, slow dancing, girls dancing with girls, and they're kissing each other doing a deep throat thing.
Old Town Road. Wow.
So it is what it is.
I mean, when in Rome, do as the Romans, right? And this is why.
No, you don't necessarily do that. By the way, you know, it was a capital offense to be caught doing that in ancient Rome.
Really? You thought? I thought they was okay with that type of stuff. Like
no, the guys. It was not okay. It never was legal.
Really?
There were some people that were perverts that rose to high places that did it. That thought they were above the law. Actually, the law still applied. They just got away with it. They were like gangsters.
Like today, yeah.
And the Romans were really kind of uptight about it. They used to have terms like gravitas, meaning the person had gravity or substance, character, and things like that. But then you had people like Julius Caesar. He had in the translation from the Latin, it was no man's wife was safe when he was around, but he would play the wife for any man. Pervert. A brilliant pervert. Alexander the Great was into that stuff too.
So, I mean, Anthony Weiner, hell. What I'm saying is, like, so in order to be successful in the highest levels of government and politics, you got to be a sexual deviant. Is that what you telling me?
Well, did anyone ever get into what the allegations were as to why Hillary never jumped Bill about his so-called escapades?
I mean, because she loved power. She's in love with power. That's a real boy.
No, she was getting more of the same than he was.
Oh, I got you.
She's getting more nookie than her husband was.
So, I mean, Judge, with that said, I'll think about Gary Hart 30 years ago. Why is such a big deal that people have extramarital affairs in this country? Why are people so uptight about that with their...
They didn't do that. See, The country is becoming feminized.
Okay.
Doctor columns used to be on the last column, the last page of the last section in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're on front page because the newspapers have become tabloids.
Mm.
Nobody talked about who was screwing who back when. It might have been whispered, but nobody put it in print. Nowadays, it's just the feminized, and, that's America has been acculturated to soap operas. Girl, I can't wait to get home to see what Erica done. Girl, she up to and then Susan is wondering if she can marry Alan, but she's not sure because Alan may be her first cousin, because Alan's father's really not his father, but his uncle. But then again, the uncle may really be her mother's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you know how badly that has gotten itself into the American culture?
Mm.
I saw a sample of the current LSAT test to get in law school.
Mm-hmm.
I got so offended I wrote a nasty letter to the people that put it together.
Okay.
One of the questions was is if Susan is first cousins to Thomas, and Thomas has an aunt named so-and-so who is dealing with so-and-so. They had an outside child named so-and-so and so-and-so who's such and such. Would Alan and Thomas be able to, Thomas and Susan be able to have a non-incestuous relationship? Like, what the hell is this crap? Well, and then the answer I got back, it becomes inclusive of female applicants these days. I'm saying you were insulting them and saying they think this perverted way, and I guess they're taking into context the culture of Erica and All My Children and Guiding Light, all, whatever that perversion was. They've been watching that crap or listening to it for 80 years. And I'm glad to have been one of the TV judges that destroyed the genre.
Mm. I mean, but is it like we all really just kissing cousins when you think about it? I mean, you think about, okay.
No, but I mean, see, there's some real concerns about inbreeding and disease and mental health.
Well, the royal family, they famous for inbreeding, right? Ancestors.
Yeah, and they've had, not so much the English one, but some of the rest of them, like they had bleeding diseases, they had other abnormalities that were common.
And then Franklin Roosevelt married Eleanor. They both were cousins, so they had the same last name, Roosevelt. You had a governor of Alabama during the time of the Scottsboro Boys. He was married to his first cousin.
Elvis Presley used to date his first cousin.
Jerry Lee Lewis married, right?
13-year-old first cousin, pervert.
The 13-year-old. So I'm just saying, why people I don't want to say, nobody really studies history, really, because even with the Epstein thing, right? You look at, I go back to Murder Inc., the Abe Kid Twist Relish, the mob hitman for the Murder Inc. When he was snitching on everybody, he sent Louis Lepke Buckhoff to the chair, the only mob boss to go to the chair. When he about to snitch on Albert Anastasia, somehow he fell from his sixth floor room at the Half Moon Hotel in Coney Island, Brooklyn.
Yes, that's the reality.
But 6 cops guarding him, though, Judge. It was 6 cops guarding him.
Hey, 6 cops on whose payroll?
Exactly. So this is a game, man. This is a trip.
Yes. And we la-di-da go along looking at Atlanta Housewives and watching NBA.
Oh, speaking of sports and distractions, I got to get your take on this Jay-Z thing, the Jay-Z NFL thing. What's your take on it?
Ho hum. Frankly, I don't give a damn.
I hear you, but I took the time to just look at the actual press conference because everybody was getting their own spin on it. And Jay-Z looked uncomfortable in how, he was in the press conference, he couldn't really answer the questions. He was going in circles and stuff like that. And he had the commissioner next to him slapping him on his thigh and stuff like that. That's a good old boy. Slap on the thigh. This is kind of weird looking at it. It was very uncomfortable just looking at him trying to ask these questions. And then people were asking about Kaepernick. And he said he talked to him off the racket and stuff. He didn't ask him, and my understanding, he didn't really talk to him about doing this. What he ended up doing. So, how do you feel? I mean, you say like it's not really much to do about nothing.
Well, it's like, okay, you get an airhead talking about stuff. What do you get out of it?
Bunch of air.
If you're not an airhead yourself, why do you give a damn?
But people are so emotionally manipulated by these type of things. Like,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things. Is there are those people that are at the bottom of the pyramid, many, and then there are those few at the top. The ones at the top run everything, set the tone, invent every damn thing, and the many down there are all distracted with irrelevancies.
Yeah, 'cause I even think about Jay-Z. He raps about being a business, like he's a business, but to me, he's a mascot because he was the reason. He was one of the big reasons how they got New Jersey Nets to relocate to Brooklyn, and they had to knock down a lot of people's homes and businesses in Brooklyn to build the Barclays Center. And my understanding, New Jersey Nets, not the Brooklyn Nets, they worth billions of dollars, right? But his share of the team, when he sold his share of the team, was only $500,000. But yeah, you help them. They use you as the face of this franchise. They use your influence to get it moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn, and your only cut is $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
So is he really a smart business bro? He's just a fool.
I don't know. His affairs don't interest me that much.
Well, I understand. But what people they argue about, they say, well, he did what he secured the bag. But I argue this. This is what not argue, but I think it's interesting. I look at Michael Jordan, I look at Jay-Z. Both of these guys, Michael Jordan is a billionaire, but do they know their worth? Do they know their value? Because Michael Jordan should own Nike by now. He saves Nike. He should be a multi-billionaire. He should have like Bill Gates money in what he did for Nike, for the brand.
I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.